Hello everybody, my name is Oddball Artist or Via Ganger and welcome back to my channel. I guess I make content now. It's an odd shift in hobbies. But today I thought it would be interesting if we went through my AP art portfolio together. For a little warning, there are going to be a few pieces that have like mild nudity or gore, but I will preface that I'll like give a timestamp in the video to skip ahead to, so that you don't have to look at those if you're sensitive to those kinds of topics. Real quick before we start the video, here's the timestamp if you don't want to hear me yap about unnecessary things. First of all, if you like any of the art that you see today, my commissions are open. You can find my prices on my community page, but I will also be posting a link to my Ko-fi in the description, so you can also follow that, and that will have the prices, and you can just pay directly on there if you're interested, of course. Second of all, I did have a fund set up for a new computer, and then my parents bought me a new computer, and then I had a fund set up for a new iPad, and then they bought me a refurbished iPad just because both my computer and my iPad are like totally conking out on me right now and I need a new one. But to anybody who was kind enough to donate money, I didn't get more than like $20 total, but to anybody who was kind enough to donate money to my computer fund, I will use the money that you donated to help fund my art supplies. Still will be going towards my art and my creativity and my YouTube channel. It just won't be going towards getting me a new computer, a new iPad. Before we get started, I thought it would be important to mention that the theme of my portfolio is outward self-expression, something that I feel very personally connected to, as you can tell. I'm very big on expressing myself through my style and my fashion and my words, so that really is reflected in this portfolio. So let's start! I'm going to start with this piece, which I labeled Mistress X, and oh my gosh, who put that long bacon there? Here's a close-up. I painted the frame and the inside. It was originally this like really bright pink, but it is a reference to the painting Madam X. I've always thought the backstory behind that painting was really interesting. Just sort of the like backlash that model faced for posing in a way that was kind of provocative. You know, her shoulders are bare. In the original, she had the strap falling off of her shoulder. I've always thought that was like so interesting that nowadays that would be considered kind of nothing, but back then it was this huge scandalous thing. And just, I've always loved the pose she's striking, and so I kind of co-opted that with my aesthetic, or I kind of paired that with my aesthetic, the sort of like classic goth look for to better suit the theme of my portfolio. The next piece that I thought would be fun to look at is this piece that I've titled Unknown Nightlife. I found this piece of plexiglass in my art classroom, or not plexiglass, this piece of plastic in my art classroom, and I thought it would be really interesting to do a double-sided portrait. So this is the girl at school or university, although this is a Japanese high school uniform, and this is her like out on the town at night. I was very much inspired by my trip to Japan and seeing students like on their lunch break definitely dressed like this, or just getting off of school dressed like this, and then seeing honestly a lot more people than I expected to see dressed in the gyaru style. I love gyaru. I have tried and failed a couple of times to do gyaru makeup. I think it's a really rebellious style, you know, purposefully exaggerating Western beauty standards to kind of reject the Japanese beauty standards at the time. I thought that this fit in really well with the rest of my portfolio. This video isn't scripted, by the way. Can you guys tell I'm just rambling? The next piece I'd like to discuss is this one here. I've named it Smudged, and it is actually a self-portrait, which I have a couple of self-portraits in this portfolio. It's based off of this photo of me, and I was going to do a more realistic self-portrait, but then I thought it would be interesting to kind of make the eye and the mouth and this hand a little bit more cartoonish, but the rest of it a lot more realistic. This piece doesn't necessarily have a meaning. You can assign it any meaning that you would personally like to. I think it's beautiful when people assign meaning that's personal to them to my work, but I have since decided that this is a commentary on societal beauty standards for women. Obviously, I do my makeup in a way that does not follow traditional beauty standards, but I do at times still feel the pressures of society. Society tells me to put on makeup. Like, I don't feel fully put together if I leave the house without any makeup on, or you know, if my eyeliner isn't even, or if my lipstick looks a little bit weird, or it gets smudged throughout the day. I feel like I'm failing in some way as a woman. So I wanted to, I sort of unintentionally portrayed that here in this piece, but I love this one. It's one of my favorites. It's enormous. It takes up the most space in my portfolio. So I really enjoyed making this one. The next piece I'd like to talk about, I've named Speak Out. This is, in a way, unintentionally a self-portrait. I did not go into this with the intention of creating a self-portrait, but I mean, it does kind of look a lot like the way I do my everyday makeup. I have printed out news titles of things that were upsetting to me and kind of Mod Podged them down onto this canvas. And then I've painted this figure here kind of speaking up or speaking out about these topics and things that they feel very strongly about. I'm sure it's difficult to read, so I'll kind of read a few of these off here. What is President Trump's approval rating today? Polls say U.S. satisfaction low. Recession indicators talking about alligator Alcatraz. Overflowing hospitals in Gaza, and a U.S. bill to ban Israel boycotts faces right-wing backlash over free speech. So just a couple of things that I was feeling very strongly about when I made this piece, and a couple of the news headlines on it now are a little bit outdated because this was made a few months ago, but a couple of them are still relevant to today. So please don't mind my hair. I'm growing it out right now for theater, and I don't like the way it looks. I want to shave it back down again. This was one of the first paintings that I finished in my AP Studio Art class. If you see, it's actually three-dimensional. It has a lot of pieces that I have sewn or glued onto it. All of the fabric pieces I sewed on myself. This one's called Patchwork Effigy, and to me, it's kind of a commentary about how alternative people, and I've heard this a lot from especially alternative people of color, have felt kind of fractured in their identity. Like, they may want to connect to their family or their historical backgrounds, but they also want to stay connected to their alternative roots and their style, and they feel like they shouldn't have to give up either of those to have both. And I kind of feel similarly towards this. Not my immediate family, but my extended family definitely is not like as expressive as I am with their outfits or with their makeup, or they express themselves in a different way. And it kind of feels like being alternative, it kind of separated me from them in that way. I'm not necessarily treated any differently, but I do get some weird comments, a couple of nasty looks, and I feel like I shouldn't have to sacrifice one part of my identity just to stay in touch with the other part of my identity. So that's what this piece means to me. Again, assign any meaning you like to it. My work is open to the public for interpretation. Please don't steal my art. My next painting I'd like to talk about is called New to the Scene. If you see here, this is an actual chain that I got from Ace Hardware, I think, and a pin that I made in my design class that just says generic punk pin. I saw it on Etsy, I thought it was really funny, so I kind of recreated it myself just for this piece. I did also actually purchase one of the generic punk pins from the seller. If I can see what seller that was, I'll put it on screen right here because I thought their idea was really, really interesting and I want to give credit to them. I did not come up with that idea. But if you notice here as well, this person is wearing a pair of pants from Shein and their belt is from Temu. And I kind of made this to discuss mostly children, let's be honest, because I did the same thing when I was first getting into more alternative styles about 5 or 6 years ago. A lot of alternative people nowadays start off getting really excited about the style or maybe the music, and they buy a bunch of clothes all at once really cheaply without actually researching like the morals or the DIY nature behind a lot of these styles. That's why I've chosen punk as this style. I identify as like punk, but call me whatever you like. And I notice a lot of people who talk about being punk own a lot of these like fast fashion clothing and they didn't thrift it or DIY it. They just bought it straight from Shein or Temu. And of course, younger children should be educated about the background of these styles, but if you're an adult and you're new to the scene, as per the title of this painting, then you're clearly just not doing your research. That's my 2 cents on it, but that's what this piece is about. I also, I really enjoy tactile pieces of my paintings, so having this chain here has made this probably my second favorite in the entire portfolio. The next piece that I'd like to talk about is this one called Self-Love, and it is a self-portrait made completely out of lipstick. So I brought a black lipstick to school and I applied like heavy layers of it and I kissed all over this paper. I don't love this one. It's not one of my favorites. I know a lot of other people really like this one. I don't necessarily see it. I think it's because I didn't spend as much time on it as I did with my other pieces. But yeah, this next piece I have here was done with watercolor. It's called Gothic Vogue. It's referencing this 1950s Vogue cover that I've been obsessed with for years, ever since I first saw it in a drag collaboration that Vogue was doing. I've been so obsessed with this cover, and so I wanted to again kind of put my own personal style on the cover. I really enjoy all of the negative space. I don't think it needs to be anything more than this. I think that this piece is gorgeous. It doesn't necessarily have a meaning behind it, but I just really enjoyed painting this one. This next painting that I have here was also done with watercolors, and I've titled it 2020 Fame. I'm sure for a lot of us who were on TikTok or Instagram around 2020, you know that everybody wanted to have this style if they were alternative. The messy eyeliner, the lipstick that went like all the way out to here, the excessive amounts of blush, the hair that covered your eyes, the bunny hat. I had the bunny hat. I don't know about all of you, but I had the bunny hat, okay? The short skirts, the huge platform boots, the asymmetrical socks. It was all very 2020, and I feel like this style doesn't exist in the same way anymore. And if it does exist in the same way, it's often critiqued or seen as less than or less valid as an alternative style, but I feel like this is such an era-specific style. Like a lot of alternative subcultures have stayed relatively the same throughout the years, maybe gotten simplified or have been taken over by fast fashion in some sense, but this was very specific to the year 2020 to like 2022. I can't think of any other period throughout time where people have dressed exactly like this. And much like my piece New to the Scene, a lot of these children were getting their clothes off of fast fashion websites, and they were just trying to become more alternative looking as quickly as possible. And I feel like the pandemic honestly really allowed people to express themselves in a way where they had previously been uncomfortable expressing themselves, which is why it's relevant to my portfolio, Outward Self-Expression. But this piece was just really fun to do. I still love this style, honestly. I think it's so cute. I think that if people wanted to bring this style back, that they totally should, just maybe with a little bit more ethical purchasing styles, or maybe being willing to be a little chopped, for lack of a better term, for a couple of years before you like finally build up a good wardrobe. This next piece is called Split Energy. It is a portrait of this influencer. I can never remember their name, but I have always been really obsessed with this sort of custom split sort of look. Like, I love both of these looks and put together. I didn't expect it to work as well as it did, but it really does. And they're one of the influencers who I personally follow. Conveniently, I can't remember their handle, but I feel like the only other influencer who pulls off this sort of genuine style and self-expression is Adi Harajuku. I feel like in my mind, they occupy the same space. I'm actually surprised I didn't do a portrait of Adi Harajuku for this piece, but I just can't think of any other influencers who are doing what she is doing and sort of creating their own style. I rarely see clothes that are split, and I feel like I have seen more clothes that are split because she has been doing this sort of style. Just love their style. That's why I included it. No deeper meaning. Oh yeah, this one was watercolor and colored pencil. This piece was one of the final ones that I did for my portfolio. It's called No One's Gonna Try to Change Me, which is a direct quote from Alyssa Liu being interviewed after she won gold. And I just feel like in terms of like personal self-expression and style goes, she has been such a pillar, especially for alternative women, to show that you can dress the way you want to, and you can say what you want to say, and you can still be successful, and you can win all of these awards, and you can be beloved by the public without having to tone yourself down or sacrifice your own personal style to achieve your goals. This is acrylic on a newspaper. And her win was so inspirational to me and to many others, I'm sure. And I feel like she just really was culturally relevant, or is culturally relevant still, but was culturally relevant at the time of me painting this piece. And I thought she fit in perfectly with the theme of my portfolio. This next piece is very simple. I've titled it An Ode to the 60s, specifically the 60s mini skirt. I think that movement of women wearing shorter skirts in the 60s was really freeing for a lot of people and created such a recognizable silhouette. I can't think of any other silhouette besides like maybe the 80s shoulder pads that has held up, for me at least, from the time that it was sort of conceived. Mini skirts also kind of indicate financial health in a country, or like high levels of financial prosperity, I suppose, in a country. So I thought it would be interesting to include. And even though it was a trend, these women were still expressing themselves in a way that was kind of taboo at the time, which I think is really inspirational and I love. So this piece may be a little bit more simple, but I love it nonetheless. This piece may be a little bit more simple, but I love it nonetheless. This is acrylic, but this one is watercolor. And this is a portrait of one of my friends who is transgender and who looked like this before transitioning and kind of felt the need to fit himself into a style and overthink femininity in a sense that didn't really suit who he is as a person now. And this is him after he has kind of gotten more comfortable with his own style, with his personal style, and kind of explored his gender in a way that makes him feel more comfortable and happier. And so I thought that this piece would be really important to include in my portfolio. In case you couldn't tell, I support trans rights. I am fully for trans rights. And I like to make a lot of my political stances clear through my artwork. So I thought that this was nice because it's not only personal to me, because this is one of my friends, but it also fits really well within the theme of my portfolio. And even though this is a drawing of my friend pre-transition, I still think that both of these are very beautiful pieces, and I'm thrilled that they have let me include them in my portfolio. These next two pieces include a small amount of nudity. Everything is covered, but bodies. It's a lot of bodies, so just in case you're uncomfortable with that, you can skip to this timestamp, and you don't have to watch any of the pieces being displayed that you do not want to. So if you're uncomfortable with mild nudity, again, you can just skip to this time in the video. This first piece is called Let's Go to the Punk Show. It was inspired by the song 3 Edgy 5 Me by Murder Person for Hire. And this was honestly mostly me experimenting with how far I could go in my class. This is one of the earliest pieces I made in my class, and unlike a lot of the other classes at my high school that are art focused, I found out that I was allowed to paint nude figures, and I mean, this is not paint, this is colored pencil. But I was very excited because that's something that I'm not usually allowed to do in other art classes, and I felt really inspired. So I drew kind of someone who I would totally see and I have totally met at punk shows that I've gone to. I feel like every punk show has someone who looks exactly like this, throwing it down in the pit, half dressed. Sometimes it's me, you know. But I feel like I really love the movement in this piece, and her facial expression is just so well done. Like, the structure of her face I'm very proud of, and again, the movement of her hair and her earrings and her skirt. I love all the little details that I included in this piece, like the background and her body hair and the folds on the skirt. I love this piece so much. I feel like it's very simple. It's kind of like monotone color-wise, but what it lacks in color, it makes up for in visual interest. This next piece that I'm going to talk about is called Bat's Nest. I actually drew this before I started working on my AP portfolio. It's also colored pencil, but you can really see some of the details I put into her face with marker or with brush tip pens. I really like this one. I mean, take a shot every time I say I really like this piece. I like this one. Alcohol poisoning. I like this one because I enjoy how much of the space the hair takes up. I enjoy the contrast between the light, very, very light makeup and her very, very dark hair. A Bat's Nest is a classic gothic hairstyle, lots of teasing, lots of product, big and kind of loud. And even though I don't have any hair to do that with, I've always admired the style. I don't really have a lot to say about this one, but I think it suits my portfolio very nicely. This next piece that I'm going to be discussing does have some gore in it. It's not heavy, it's a light amount of blood, but this will be the last piece I'm discussing, so if you're uncomfortable with gore, you can click away from this video now. No judgment. Thank you for staying here this long. I really appreciate your viewership, but I've already gotten my algorithm boost. You don't need to be here anymore if it's going to make you uncomfortable. This is my favorite piece in the entire portfolio. I don't know if you can tell how excited I am to talk about this one, but really, really I am. This is another self-portrait. It was based off of this photo of me that I took and edited by myself in that corner of my room over there. and I named it after a My Chemical Romance lyric because I can't just be normal about them. I'm obsessed with My Chemical Romance, if you couldn't tell. It's called And These Thoughts of Endless Night, Can You Stake My Heart? Bonus points if you know what song that's from, because it's my favorite song off of the album that it's on. And, oh gosh, I am just so obsessed with the details of this piece. The tongue is kind of disgusting, the blood everywhere, the minor amount of plaque that I added to the teeth, the chapped lips, the gaunt kind of expression, the colors under the eye bags, how my hair is kind of grown out, and I really hate that stage of my hair, this one, but I love drawing it. And where do I start with this piece? The backstory of it is that I have always disliked the way that my teeth look. When I was younger, I needed braces for like an insanely long time. I had a crazy tooth gap. My teeth were like social distancing. For a while, I was going through bouts of depression and I was having trouble taking care of my teeth, which, as any of you who have experienced that know, definitely is not a boost for the old self-esteem. Can you be quiet, please? If any of you have experienced difficulties brushing your teeth for medical reasons or otherwise, you know that it definitely is a blow to the self-esteem. It can be difficult to talk to people. I mean, obviously, if I'm self-conscious about my teeth, I don't want to open my mouth, I don't want to smile. There are so many years worth of photos where I just look so upset, like I don't want to be there, like I'm smiling like, I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can find some examples of my awkward smiling when I had braces and when I wasn't taking care of my teeth. But this kind of discusses a very specific issue that I had with my teeth, where I'm actually missing a pair of teeth on my top row. So where most people have like their two front teeth and then a second pair of teeth and then their canines, I'm missing that second set of teeth. It's just my two front teeth and my canines. You can kind of see it there. But before they kind of flatten down, as all teeth do, when you chew with them enough, when you use them enough, they were very, very sharp and they kind of resembled vampire fangs. And so that was how I thought about them for a very long time. I was like, oh, these are my vampire fangs. That's how I kind of became less self-conscious about it, but my orthodontist did not like them. And he didn't like them not because they were impacting the overall health of my mouth, but instead because it is an aesthetic thing that they do. They shave down those two teeth, if you're missing a set of teeth, to make all of your teeth look more uniform. And I didn't want to do that. I've got a really bad sensory issue around getting my bones filed down, like my teeth filed down. Sorry, I'm going into way more detail than I need to go into, but I told him that I didn't want to do that, and he was like, oh, I just assumed you wouldn't want your teeth to look like ugly. And I was like, oh, yeah, thanks. That's not really super helpful for the old self-esteem. So anyway, this piece was really an excuse to draw myself as a vampire behind the guise of conversation about my self-esteem issues, but I still love this piece. It is my favorite. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you for letting me yap about my teeth for like 10 freaking minutes. I really appreciate it. To talk about the Weird Al video, I will be remaking it. I will be remaking the Weird Al Yankovic video. By popular demand, I put out a poll on YouTube, and a lot of people said that they'd rather see new content, they'd rather see more of my creative stuff than a remake, but I'll still be doing the remake. A lot of people were talking about like, oh, why can't you do both? And I was like, that's a good point. Why can't I do both? I will do both. But it will probably be in this sort of setup again, and it won't come out for a while because my filming schedule is whenever I feel like it, whenever inspiration strikes. So that's that. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you've been here all the way through, this is a very long video, I apologize. But I really appreciate all of your viewership, all of the people subscribing, all of the people who are like sharing my videos or reposting my videos. it really means a lot to me. So, mwah! Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye! Hello, it's Oddball Artist, or... oh shoot, I forgot my gloves. But if you'll notice here as well, this person is... okay. Oh my god, this is gonna be a long time. A long video. A long freaking video. My back hurts. I don't know why I did that. Fuck, this video is already at 20 minutes. Okay. And I still have like a bunch more. Whatever. It's fine. Oh my god. What are you doing here? If you chew on any of my paintings, I'm kicking you out. Come here. Come here. Oh my god. You're so fat. This is Kona. He's not from my AP portfolio, but he's here anyway. Okay. He loves me, I promise. Man, all the cats are coming in here. Here, come here. We have another one. This one's less friendly. Oh my god, that one sheds a lot more too. Hi, Maud. Her name's Maud Pie, like the My Little Pony character. Because I'm a nerd. Do you want to be in the video? Okay. She's gonna be in the video. But gloves.